gas letter in the financial statement?
Yes.
Okay.
You're good to go.
We're ready to go. So is Elaine going to take us through this?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
So what we'll do is we'll go through the financial statement and then the two letters that you have. And then when we go to the board meeting, I'm going to give the information in a little bit more summarized fashion. So any questions you have, please feel free to interrupt me and let's have some good discussion. Starting with the audit went quite well, considering all that your staff have been going through. Danielle and Taylor, you guys have been amazing. I know you're overwhelmed and you're doing the very best you can, and we thank you for all your cooperation. It really took quite a bit to get this, the statements to the board now, on the 15th, the 15th. These girls really, they worked hard and to get everything organized and ready for us. So we really do appreciate it. And, the board should I just want the board to know how hard they're working. As far as journal entries and what we did for the year, there were three journal entries that we had to do for your year end. One of them was to adjust accounts receivable and retained earnings. And that was mainly because of an entry that didn't get posted properly the year before. The second journal entry was to capitalize expenses for the sewer project. And then the third entry was another reclassification entry. So one more entry, I think actually there was four. There was an entry to record the final quarter for the CCIDA contract that you had. None of these entries we really considered to be audit entries on a normal year for your organization. These entries would have been done. They're entries that management would have typically been had recorded by the time we came in. They're just not enough time and enough information at the time when they did the entries. So we don't consider them to be audit entries. One of the items that we do have for you as an improvement is that you really should lock your QuickBooks at the end of a year so that no entries can be made to prior years. If you need help doing that, you can contact my Taylor and she can help you do that, Danielle and Taylor.
Great, thank you, Elaine.
Okay, getting into the financial statements, one of the first things you're going to notice on page 1 and 2, 1, 2, and 3, this is a new auditor's report. And they've really extended the information in the auditor's report. I'm not going to go through it in detail. Really, what is the report is saying that the financial statements were audited. They are in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. They were audited under U.S. generally accepted auditing standards as well as government auditing standards. On page 4 starts the management discussion and analysis. This was prepared by Danielle. We did assist her and we also reconciled to make sure all the numbers were correct. But we're going to be discussing all these items that's summarized in this report. The members should look through it and see if they have any questions that they might want to filter through Danielle or have for us on that. But that's an internally prepared document. Starting on page 7 of the statement of net position. In the statement of net position, you'll see at the very beginning, cash and cash equivalents. Your cash and cash equivalents went decreased during the year from 881,000 to 702,000, a decrease of 179,000. Most of that cash, almost all that cash and some of your profits for the year went into the construction in progress for the sewer line. So you'll see that under capital assets, the construction in progress increased by $236,000.
If I could ask you about that, that was the construction of the first phase of the sewer plus the engineering for both phases is,
Yep, so that covers phase one. And then that covers part of where we are now, engineering, and the beginning of phase two.
we have most of the engineering on both phases already paid for, right?
I have to double check. I'm not entirely sure right now. The payments are starting to increase now. They were pretty small in the beginning, but they're starting to increase.
The engineering payments are starting to increase.
They had to revise the engineering and environmental report for the EDA application.
Oh, okay.
And I know Mark Chambers, I think he should give us an update this month of what that additional cost was going to be. We had talked about it in February with him, and he was gonna be working with, is it Brian Byers, who's the gentleman that updated both the environmental and engineering report.
Okay, and the money that we use towards that project is just money of the cash that we had on hand, right? Okay, thank you.
Yes, yes. One other item that I want to note on both the asset and liabilities, your pilot payments received and the pilot payments dispersed were all done by December 31st. So you had no receivable or payable outstanding. One item that I do want to bring to the board's attention, this has been on your trial balance or on your general ledger for quite a few years, but I don't want it to get forgotten about. You do have a grant payable. You'll see in the liability section for $10,000. That payable was a pass-through grant that you had that went through your organization, and you're waiting for bills for the Clarity Connect for telephone poles so that you can pass that money out to them. And when Tracy was there, she was going to follow up to see, you know, what was happening. But this has been on your books for several years now. I don't know how far back before we started to do the audit, but it's been there for quite a while. So I know you guys have your hands full at this time, but it's certainly something at some point to reach out and see what's happening, and whether if you don't, you know, I don't know what the contract says. If you don't expend this money, you probably have to return it to the granting agency.
Elaine, do you know who the grantee agency is? No.
I have no idea. This was on the books before we started.
And she says it was for payments for electrical poles.
This, yeah, it was from Clarity Connect, I believe, is the organization that had put the poles in or ask for the grant, and it was for telephone poles.
And you said it was a pass-through, so technically the Clarity Connect would have received the grant and they're just passing it through the IDA?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's still sitting on your books and in your cash. You've got the money. You just need to be able to disperse it, and you haven't received the proper paperwork.
We probably aren't going to, right?
Possibly not. And if that's the case, you probably should look to see whether you should be returning these funds.
I'll see what's in the folders in the drive and see if there's an extension on it or where it stands. Thank you, Elaine.
Okay. As far as net position, your net position at the end of the year was $1,608,000. Next page, the statement of revenue expenses. Administrative fees for the year were $98,000, up about $8,000 from the previous year. Operating expenses about the same, $47,986. Your net operating income was $50,000. non-operating income of about 5,600, giving you a positive change in position or profit for the year of 55,690. As far as your expenses, they were pretty much the same as the previous year. Professional fees were up, which was some increased legal costs. I'm gonna skip over to page 10 for just a few minutes. This is the statement of cash flows. The very first section, you'll see cash flows from operating activities. This shows your cash in and cash out for your pilots, your expenses, your income. So from your day-to-day operating activities, you had a positive cash flow of 56,897. You spent 236,000 in land costs. And you had $443, which was interest that was on your CD. So your cash decreased by 179,000, mainly because, as we talked about before, for the payment of the sewer project. Starting on page 11 are the notes to the financial statement. The first note talks about the nature of your organization. Second footnote, it starts with your accounting policies. I'm really going to just key on a few of the footnotes unless one of the members would like to stop and talk about any particular note. If we go to page 14, note 3 shows that you have investments that consist of a CD that was 2 years. And I believe that came due shortly after year end or maybe about now.
It came due at February,
Right.
so we're up for a new another renewal.
So if it's invested in another long-term CD, it will continue as an investment. If it's invested in a shorter term under 6 months, then it would be considered in your cash and cash equivalents for next year.
So which is
Sure.
Right now, it's
Short.
short, yep,
Did you put it into something short-term?
yes.
CD.
Yeah.
That would be your
Short-term.
recommendation, right, John?
Yeah, short-term CD.
Yeah, definitely. With today's markets, that's a good move. On page 4, on page 15, note 4, capital assets. This details out your capital assets being land and building, and then the construction in progress.
Do we do any depreciation on any of these capital assets?
No, you don't.
Is there any reason why we should?
They're really held, I'm not even really sure what the building part of this is. This was, again, something that was taken over by us, and the details were a little bit, I'd say, lacking. I don't have a complete depreciation schedule of what the land and building consists of. Actually, it was on my list of items to discuss and to see if somebody could find what some of the details, how much is the land and how much is the building and what it actually consists of. They've never been depreciated.
We don't,
Now,
I'm sorry, Lynn, but we don't own buildings, so it has to be all land. And I'm assuming, Elaine, it would be carried at cost, correct?
it's carried at cost, and it's something that's been on here, again, the same. I went back because this was, let me see if I can find my notes on this. Okay. So I kind of dug back a little bit, and back in 2018, the land was 542,000 and the building was 68,618. And we don't know what that was. We didn't get a schedule. There wasn't a schedule carried forward from the prior auditor that gave it to us, just a lump number. And then I'd have to go back a little bit. There was an additional amount that was put in after that, that the buildings now are 104,000.
Somebody increased the value of the buildings.
Mhm.
Who
So
would-
I
who
think
would've
it's
done that?
something, yeah, I think it's something that we just need to maybe dig back on. Maybe we can find something. I'll go back to the previous auditor and see if they have any records on this, any details.
2016,
2018.
18.
We don't know. Buildings.
The only land that I can remember we own is the park plus the land by the mall that we bought.
What about, on North Division? Didn't we get rid of a building there?
There's Columbus property transfer in
Columbus.
2019.
Columbus property, remember that?
Yeah, it's young. Great to see you.
I think that's what it was.
But if it was that, the numbers that she's,
Yeah, well,
don't make any sense.
right, well, I think we could research it, but I think that's what it was, is the Columbus property. We owned it and we got rid of it.
We own that plus there was a building that we speculated in that we built a long time ago.
Okay.
And that was just sold fairly recently. Rick, you know all about this. Look at that, look at
Columbus
that.
Street,
Columbus
66,
Street, remember Columbus
68 Columbus
Street?
Street.
When we
Yeah, we
sold-
transferred it a handful of years ago.
Right,
But this-
2018.
It was only assessed at 17,000 in 2019.
Yeah, I think it went to Scott and Davis Company.
All right,
Yeah,
something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Okay,
I think we had a railroad bed or something in there, something like that, yeah.
we can research that, Elaine, we can get.
Yeah, it was one of the things, I have some notes here on it because it was, the information that we have is very sparse. And I think it would be good to get the details and get some more, a better schedule for this.
With the Columbus Street thing
Okay.
that we were in a lawsuit with, that we couldn't.
Oh, yeah, that was decades ago, yeah, but we ended up transferring it probably 3 or 4, maybe 5 years ago.
2018,
Sounds about right.
yeah. Okay. Hey,
And
Elaine,
Bob Berry was the attorney for them, and I dealt with, I think Peter Marshall, the head guy at Scott Davis, her son. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Elaine, as far
Yeah.
as depreciation, we're not a taxable organization, so that really doesn't.
Exactly.
if we
You're
go
really,
like that.
yeah. It's not like you're using these buildings. And
Right.
I really, at some point we can talk about the sewer project, but I would imagine the sewer lines would be transferred to the county,
So,
correct?
The Water and Sewer Authority.
Okay. So it's, the last couple pages of the statement, is the auditor's report on internal controls. We tested internal controls as part of our audit, and there were no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses. The last page is the independent auditor's report on the public authorities law, and again, no findings on that. Last item, I wanted to just go through the 2 letters that we also sent. The first letter, the shorter letter, the SAS letter, this again just talks about that we did not have any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies. We did do a few journal entries, but we considered those to be items that the management has the capability of handling. They just didn't get done by year end. The other letter for governance.
I'm sorry,
Basically, yep.
Elaine, what's the other letter?
So it's the longer letter, the one that's like 2 pages long. This starts out, we have audited the financial statements. And then it starts that there's a significant, what the significant audit matters were. And basically, this letter is basically stating that we have audited the financial statements. There were no major changes in significant accounting policies. The estimates that we use were for the pilot receivables and payables and the client's ability to pay. That we didn't encounter any difficulties when we performed the audit. We talked about the corrected and uncorrected misstatements. There were just a few corrections that were needed to be made. We didn't have any disagreements with management. We have sent the letter of representation for to be signed, and there really were no other items that were of concern.
And how recent were these prepared?
The financial statements?
Yeah, pages like 4 through 14. They've been around for a few days or? I'll get to what my question is. I think the board or the committee, it would be good if we could have copies of these before we get to the meeting where we have to approve them.
Okay, I believe this year we sent them on Friday.
They were sent out to the board Friday electronically in the
They
email.
were, okay, that's very good. I think Taylor probably gets mad at me occasionally, but I don't think the board should have to approve this audit until they've at least had a chance to see it before the meeting that they approve it at. But Friday, if
So Elaine, Herb is talking about, I normally send packets out a week prior to the meeting, so it gives them a week to review it. We received it Friday, so he's saying it's just a short amount of time for him to review it.
Yep, and you know, we actually did our very best. We didn't get this information till
we're
close to the last week in February this year.
like you said when you started this, we're going through a difficult time here.
Yes,
And
yes.
that's certainly excusable, but if.
I mean, we basically turned around this audit in less than 4 weeks from start to finish.
That's fast for you auditors.
It's especially at this time of year, number one.
Yeah.
I've had three staff people out with COVID.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. And I know, you know, these, you know, we were supposed to start field work at the beginning of February, and, you know, these guys are just overwhelmed. They did their very best to get us to the stuff, you know, in the, you know, so.
I would move that the committee accepts and approves this audit, and we will approve, recommend that the full board approve it.
I would second that, Herb. I think we're the only two.
The only two. And then you have the acting chairman because Ray's out.
So
But you have, you know, you have two of you.
All in agreement?
All agreement.
Yes.
Aye. Elaine, anything you would like to see us do different? Anything we can improve upon, whether it's record keeping or anything else like that, that you can share with us?
I think the records are really kept in really good shape. You know, the information came to us very organized. We really, you know, we pushed Danielle and Taylor. Taylor, you've been wonderful. You know, to try to get us the information a little bit earlier. It's, you know, there is a lot to it, and I think this was the first year that Danielle actually had to do the MD&A. And that's a lot of work, just that, those, you know, part of the financial statements, that those 4 or 5 pages or 3 or 4 pages at the beginning. So it is quite a process. I think what you guys are doing is really good under the circumstances.
The only thing I
Thanks,
caught of what she said was, she wants us to make sure that we do not make entries after a certain time.
Oh, yes, QuickBooks. We need to close out QuickBooks after the end of the year, so we can't go back and adjust any prior year entries.
Yeah.
That's correct. And what it'll do when you lock QuickBooks, what it'll do is you can go back into previous years, but what'll happen is it'll flash up and say, do you really want this a previous year that's been closed? Do you really want to do this entry? So it alerts you so that something doesn't get misstated or misposted, and you don't go back into those periods. So that's what locking your QuickBooks does.
I didn't know what it was, but that was the only thing that I got that she was recommending that we do. Okay, I think we're all set.
Need to adjourn.
What about Paris?
Oh, did that happen this?
It does.
It's on the agenda.
It's on the agenda, but we're at the time for the regular meeting and people are floating in the lobby, so do you want me just to put it on? It's on the agenda for the regular meeting also.
Let's do it then, and we'll, if we can, we'll go through what extra people we have and get rid of them, and then we can go back and do this, if that's all right.
Okay, adjournment.
I move we adjourn.
Second. And we're both in favor.
And we're both in favor.
Is that June only?
Yeah, she had texted me that, yeah, she's gonna be running here, she'll be physically here about 4:20,
Oh,
Okay.
but she wanted to zoom in until that time, so thank you.
okay.
I don't think she
And
can
I
hear
did,
you.
she's probably trying to enter, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'll go grab them.
She can hear you.
Yep.
Probably one of the many invitees of her.
Oh, that's your license again?
No, unlike.
Oh, hers. No, actually, hers the license one.
I'm the unlicensed.
Yours, you might be the unlicensed one. Hey, Elaine.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the copy of the Paris. There's no amounts, or is this just a bad copy?
Oh, that's me. Paris is me.
Oh, okay, forget it. There's no amounts.
Because I have not received them from the businesses yet.
Yeah,
Oh, it's business specific.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're gonna have you go hang out in the corner.
Okay.
yeah, so we'll go over that. There's some.
Hello.
Hey,
Still
how you doing?
outstanding. I
Good to see you.
haven't told the
Good to see you. I gotta reach out to you sometime.
Okay.
About easements and stuff.
I see what you're saying. Whenever you're ready.
Yeah, I gotta, I think I've been on some emails with you, so.
Rick, that is for sure, that's what we need.
Well, I don't mind.
My big head was
Oh, no, she might do something.
Right,
How
Elaine,
are
you're
you?
doing a presentation to the board.
good?
These gentlemen are just here for the sewer
Yeah.
update. They're not, oh, no, just these.
They're for the sewer project.
Yeah. They're not
They're
staying.
just on the agenda.
And Janine Wilson's online too, Director of
If
Operations.
they wanna hang out for the audit, they can.
All right, but
She said she's gonna give an additional overview, she's not gonna do in-depth again.
I don't know.
Did you say somebody's coming?
Gina will show.
Gina is gonna be arriving at 4:20, but she is on the call now.
Oh,
She's on her way from Ithaca, so,
okay.
so she is present via Zoom.
You can
Hi, everyone.
call me and go over
Yeah, kind of.
there.
This isn't my learning experience, so you guys just hang out. Don't get nervous. I have no idea.
When Herb speaks, get nervous, but everything else.
Pay attention to her thoughts. Okay, roll call.
Okay. Let's see. Mr. Lockwood, Mr. Marshall,
Here,
Mr. Whitmore,
Here,
Mr. Shea, Ms. Spino,
she's on.
Here,
Yeah, she might-
Mr.
Here.
Longstaff,
Here.
Mr. Whitmore.
Yes,
Okay.
motion to approve the minutes,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Hear that? Bills and communications, or do you want to let these guys go
You-
first?
You wanna Elaine go
let's
first?
do them and then Elaine, and then we'll get into the regular business.
Okay.
It's all right.
Elaine go first, so she can get off the screen.
Yeah.
They're the sewer line, they're gonna be here for a while.
Maybe we can pick a time for Elaine to come back, so she doesn't have to be, you know.
No, we can do late,
Let's
can
do
we do
her
late
first.
right now? She'll be real quick.
She would did the explanation to us,
Okay.
and all of us was here anyway. Okay. Go ahead, Elaine. and then-
Okay, why don't, I can do this in just a few minutes because most of the members were there for my full presentation. So just starting out for the ones that weren't at the last audit and finance meeting, the audit went really well. We had really no problems, and we give a big thanks to Danielle and Taylor for all the hard work that they did to help prepare the audit. We only had a few journal entries, which we considered to be management driven journal entries rather than audit entries. If we go into the financial statements, I'm just going to give an overview. If we go to page 7, this is the statement of financial position. For the year, your total assets increased by 57,000. For the year, your cash went down by 179,000. The money was used mainly to go into the construction and progress for the sewer line. So total assets at the end of the year were $1,635,000. As far as liabilities, there were total liabilities outstanding of 26,000 and net financial position of 1,608,000. On the income statement, the next page, statement of revenue expenses. For the year, your operating revenue increased by about 9,000 from the previous year. It was $98,006 for the year. Operating expenses were quite similar to the previous year at 47,000. Your net income before non-operating income was $50,020. Non-operating income consisting of interest, rent, and gas royalties was $5,600. So the net change in financial position was $55,690. If we just take a couple minutes in the footnotes, a couple footnotes that I want to talk about. If we go to page 14, we talked about in the finance committee, your investments at the year end consisted of a long-term CD, which has come due in February, which you have reinvested into a shorter term investment. And we talked that at this time in the market, that was a good move. So next year, as far as your investments, they will go to zero, and this will be included in your cash and cash equivalents because it's a short-term investment. On page 15, note 4, the capital assets, there's land and buildings and construction in progress. One of the items that we discussed with the committee was the detail for land and buildings is really quite minimal. So
Yeah.
Yep.
No,
No, you're
keep
good.
going, Elaine. Yeah.
Okay, so it's the items under the land and building are going to be researched so that we can, so you can, the organization can have some better detail of what that consists of. Page 16 is the internal report over internal controls. We didn't have any findings as far as deficiencies or material weaknesses in your internal controls and our testing. Everything went very well. In a very quick nutshell, that is the report on your financial statements. We also provided 2 letters. One letter is the SAS letter that talks about if there's any material weaknesses or findings, which we've just said that there were none. And the other letter is a letter for governance that details out that we did do the audit, what the major policy issues were, if there were any changes, which there were not, and what type of corrections that were made. We've discussed the corrections and that they were all journal entries were made. That is it in a very quick nutshell. Any questions?
I don't think so. I think we've heard it and,
I move that the committee approve the audit and that we recommend to the board that we approve the audit.
I second that.
all in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Aye.
Should we,
So that vote was for the full board to approve the audit upon the recommendation of the committee.
should we let her go now? Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you
Elaine.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine.
And could we have our visitors introduced?
Do you wanna do the sewer line? Yeah, they can introduce themselves.
Sure.
I'm Mark Chambers with CNS Engineers.
I'm Brad Olin with Highlander Construction. And I'm Bill Langdon with Highlander Construction.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So Mike, I don't know if you want to start with your update on anything on your end, and I can kind of talk about this ARPA situation.
Yeah, as far as on the EDA end of it, we've gotten through the review comments that David Botar had early on in the application, made the corrections, the required modifications that were needed. That's been submitted, and we're awaiting, from what I understand from David Botar and Danielle, I think he said April timeframe, sometime hearing back on the either, I guess, a favorable look at it at that point, or negative could be, but an April timeframe for that.
My understanding was that the April timeframe was just accepting our application. It wasn't the comment on it. Is that not right, Mark?
We're receiving comments through and through. Janine, that's on the call today. I've been communicating with her and David Botar all day. It's been decided that Cuyahoga County Water Sewer Authority will be taking ownership of the project at some point. So David Botar said that Water Sewer Authority needs to be a co-applicant on it. So I've had to work with Janine today to get her DUNS number and EIN number, and she has to sign all the paperwork by the end of this week. To her also for the Water Sewer Authority to be on the application as well.
So we have a water and sewer authority meeting tomorrow, so and Herb's on, as you know, we got 2 members that serve on both boards. So you probably need a motion tomorrow's meeting to authorize you need to sign that grant application.
She mentioned that earlier
Yeah,
today,
I'm
that
sure she did, yeah.
she's tuning in today,
Yeah.
and then Janine, if you'd like to speak up, please do.
Yeah, so what I shared with Danielle is definitely, this needs to go to our board. It was our understanding that this is what would happen once everything was installed, inspected, and put into performance. This is something new to us to know that we would need to be part of this application process. So certainly we'll talk about it at the board tomorrow and see what we need to do. And I did provide what we needed to with our employer ID numbers and our DUNS number to Danielle and David.
Your discussion with the legislature on funding this, is
Yes.
that in the executive session thing, or can we talk? about
No,
that?
it's Mark Chambers is aware of it. Janine is also aware of it. John Patterson, who is the president of the Farm Bureau, was supposed to attend today, but he said he's gonna be here at 5, which won't help seeing the meetings at 4 o'clock. So, unfortunately, I don't think he's gonna give the update in person, but, Mark James, who's also part of the US Farm Bureau, and Lydia Patty Ruffini reached out to myself earlier this month to give them the scope of work and the budget, where the Farm Bureau is going to go in front of the full ledge next Tuesday for an ask of ARPA funding for $2.9 million for agricultural projects. And the sewer district or the sewer project is one of those projects that will be included in that proposal. So John was gonna come and give an update on that. I don't really have any other information as to how the conversations go. I know that this will go in front of full edge next Tuesday on the 22nd.
On the 22nd of this month.
Yes, next month, this will go in front of full edge.
Because Dave Bocart was not going to be here, I talked to Mark Callipy, the finance person for the water and sewer. I'm losing my voice, which is probably good for the rest of you. And
A lot of
he's,
smiles.
and he said that the application that we've made, I can't remember the initials to it, that if we started or even finished the project, we would still be eligible for their funding if this went through.
So it's the same, ARPA funding is the American Rescue Plan Act.
Yeah.
So when David came in December to do the special meeting, he had talked about how EDA received ARPA funding. So they've created a pot for economic development assistance projects. And this is where it's been delayed for 6 months. They have not looked at any of the projects that have been submitted. So right now, that project or application deadline is March 31st. So Janine, Mark, myself, and David have been constantly revising it. And we're getting feedback in real time from EDA on what they need to see from us. But in April, to Mark's point, your point, we'll find out if this is a project that will get picked up for review. And then June would be the selection of it. Now, the difference is that's a grant match. So that's an 80% grant with a 20% match from the IDA. The local ARPA funding, which is being proposed to the county ledge, they received their funding. It could be a full funding of the project. There's no match requirement unless the county ledge makes that a requirement from the IDA.
And did you think that that would be voted on the 22nd, did you say?
That according to Mark James, that's what they were going to propose was this month for this to be voted on for use of ARPA funds.
We should do some lobbying.
What?
We should do some lobbying.
Yes, if that should go through on the 22nd, I think we're all ready to start this project.
Okay, I will say David Botar is not aware of this local decision to apply for ARPA funding.
My view would be we would continue with the other application so that if it came, we could refund the money to the county and they could fund one of our other really important projects.
So I just want to make sense, so you would use the immediate ARPA funding to start paying for costs now,
Yes,
but still hold the EDA application in place. If approved, use that local funding,
Well, we could use potentially our match.
got to pay back the county, so then they can
To
invest in
start.
another county
Yeah.
project.
that would be my idea.
Gotcha, okay.
And I probably, these gentlemen are here because of me. I talked with them,
Ruh-roh.
what? And
Was he nice?
I'm very concerned that it looked like we might go through this year without even getting to start this project, which would be terrible.
It all comes down to the money.
Well, it's more than that, I think my understanding with the milk plant people, that for them to do their expansion, they want to make sure they have a sewer to put their stuff in.
Right.
And therefore, it's more than the money. I think we're obligated to do this project regardless of this grant. And if we can get the money from the county, that's the right way to do it. So I think probably we need to wait till the 22nd and see if that comes through. I would make a motion later in the meeting that if that does come through, that our chairperson and Danielle, if we don't have a regular director by that time, go ahead and initiate what we need to get the project started.
We've ordered the pump.
Well, they haven't been ordered. The Highlander Construction said that they would order the pumps as long as they were sure they were ordering the right pumps according to the information from the engineers that did the plan. But we got into a discussion about possibly having to rebid it, which would be a very bad situation.
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
They would be crazy to order pumps at their expense and then us go through a rebidding thing. So that's part of the reason I encourage them to come. I don't think we should get into a situation where we have to.
Where do we stand on the rebid? And I think we were gonna go back and ask them to.
So I mean, David Botar just put it out there because we won't really get an answer until June. And that is a pretty long time since when the bidding happened, and the final contract won't be in hand until probably fall, September. They said that EDA could come back and ask for the IDA.
Well,
to rebid
they
it.
could, but they couldn't.
They could,
And they might not.
yeah, but there was no.
There was no, David Botar didn't know exactly what that determination was going to be, but he said it just basically was a possibility that that could be a requirement of the funding agency. And that still could be, you guys were just mentioning about using, say, the EDA funding as a backfill for the county money that you take it, that may not be a possibility as well too. Correct me if I'm wrong with this, because that's kind of, I don't know if they do it that way. It's earmarked for a project, but if somebody's already taken the initiative to finance it, that might not be.
I don't know if we can use it for a refund of
I
funds.
think our two attorneys could work out that they would upfront the money to us to do the project in anticipation that we were getting the other grant.
Yeah.
And then if the other grant did not come through, we would be using their, I'm certainly no attorney. Ask Rick, he'll tell everybody
I think
that.
the question is double dipping of ARPA.
Right.
Because if you are leveraging the county's ARPA funding, and then if you have to show use of funds to that, you can't use the same use of funds back to the EDA ARPA.
No, but even if there's a 20% match, right?
Mhm.
So if we start out with the county money, as long as we don't exceed the 20%,
Okay,
we're okay. Once we start eating it, if we spend 30%,
mhm.
then we wouldn't be able to grab the whole 80, we'd only be able to grab 70.
What was left of it.
Yeah,
So can I ask,
but Rick's an expert on this kind of stuff, so we'll defer to him.
rebidding, what would we be rebidding? Would Highlander,
The whole thing.
right, would Highlander quoted us?
You'd have to take the design package, the pump station, the force main, the specification requirements for that, put it back onto the street for public bidding. And yeah, they could be bidding it again
If they so choose.
if they so choose. But it's going to be also to opening it up to other contractors that could come in and bid on this as well too.
But we have no interest in that.
Well, that's correct, but if we have to.
Well,
But we haven't even been told we have to, or we might.
Right,
We've been
okay,
told
I just
maybe.
want to know what we might have to rebid.
you know, John, the situation we're in now, the pipe, most of the pipe, and I'm looking at most of the pipe for the project has already been purchased. It is on their lot.
Right.
And to acquire the pumps, if you refresh my memory, it's gonna take about 4 months to.
15 weeks.
Yeah, it's gonna
15,
take 4
16
months
weeks,
to
yeah.
get the pumps.
That's what he's telling us.
And so we were supposed to, at our meeting today, authorize ordering the pumps.
Even if it's on our dime, right?
Yeah, all right, so I missed last month's meeting, but, and how long is Highlander willing to hold the bid prices?
Well, I think it's funny that you asked that. Let me say one thing is that I think that we're a small company, our office is 20 minutes from here. Okay, I lived in Cuba County for 16 years, raised my kids here, and, we moved to Camillus, but I think have tried to be a good partner with you guys. And I have a letter that your ex-executive director, Tracy Verrier, was a very nice woman, helped us a lot in the beginning, sent us, oddly enough, a year ago today. Okay, so basically telling us that she had awarded both projects to us, phase 1 and phase 2, and that phase 2 obviously would be contingent upon the EDA funding. Okay, as far as when that would go to work, but you guys, to a certain extent, you guys took a step and you awarded us the job. Okay, so once you do that, in my opinion, that's where we get on board and we become not just a contractor, but we're a partner. Right? We work with the owner, we work with the engineers, work together to build the job. Okay, and that's why we went out at the very beginning and I bought the pipe, all right, out of my own pocket for 3 months and change, whatever it was, before we could, you guys could catch up with us. And that was okay because we were trying to preserve it. We saw what was happening in the market. We know the price is going up. We want to try to cushion those blows as best we can. All right. It's not just about us and trying to make more money. We're trying to look out for you guys as well. Okay. So we went and we did that. Okay. We've been monitoring the rest of the stuff. We've probably talked to the pump people 100 times over the last year. I mean, getting updates on potential increases, et cetera, et cetera. But, I guess where I'm going with this is that, we've been committed to the project as much as you folks have. And I know you haven't seen that because this is the first time we've ever sat in here. Okay. So we want to build this thing, but we have the same problems as everybody does, to get to your question, with increased costs. Pipe isn't, the rest of the material that we need pipe wise is increased. The pumps have increased. The electrical subcontracts increased, the generators increased. All these things have increased in price. So we've tried to give you guys kind of a rough breakdown of what we think those increases could be, are going to be. So our labor rates have increased. So we're fighting those battles, and we're trying to keep you guys abreast of what's happening, so that you guys know what we know. So there aren't as many surprises. So you have the information. So, and we've taken these steps and participated this way because we feel that we're part of this job. Okay. So, and we want to continue to do that. And if you want to rebid the job, anybody else is coming in is going to pay the same for the pipe, if not more than we are. And the same with the pumps and the same with all the rest of the materials. Nobody's getting a break.
But frankly, I mean, we appreciate
we understand
everything.
No,
we have no interest in rebidding it.
John,
And it won't be for less, right?
bring you all to speed.
I would pretty much guarantee you that it's not going to be for less.
They sent me this in a letter, and if I'm not quoting it right, correct me, but the bid was $910,540 for both phases of the project. They've done the first phase and been paid all except in the retainage on the first phase. Because it was supposed to have been built last year instead of this year, Mark went back to them and tried to have them come up with a fair amount that their increase would be. And I believe it's $129,000. Most of it is for increased cost of the equipment. There's a tiny bit for increased cost of labor, and there's going to be a little bit of an increased cost for fuel. The way fuel is gone, there's no question about that. But
we sent you this on December 3rd. What oil went below $100 a barrel?
That number on December 3rd, yeah. But I just got it from him this on an email this week, because I'm trying to get this to a head and get it resolved. I think we need to build a sewer, whether we get the funding or not. Then we're going to have to fight with the milk company and the other people on how we're going to pay for it. But I think we're obligated to build a sewer.
So, yeah, let me just, I agree, Herb. My second question, if we give you the go ahead, how long does it take for you to do the pipe portion of the
Yeah,
project.
we've held you up for a year and a half, but how long did that?
Yeah.
It's almost an embarrassing
Well, no,
question.
no.
No,
Overall,
I
you know,
asked that,
there's gonna be probably, to answer your question, it's gonna kind of be broke up into a couple different phases. One would be going in and installing the actual pump station itself, what we call the wet well, the structure. And the structure's there, and then you're gonna put the pipe in. I mean, all in all, just for install, if we have all the materials, 6 weeks.
Right, actually, the reason I'm asking that is that, do you have to have the pumps there before you start the project?
We do not.
All right, so it's gonna take you 6 weeks to do the pipe portion of the project?
I would say get it installed, you know, we have to test the force main, you know, it's just.
And then the pumps come in, I guess
What they can do is if the pump people can give us it's a part of the pump package that actually gets installed in the bottom of the pump station structure. It's called a foot elbow, and they can get
Okay.
those sooner. Once we have those, we can pretty much do a build out on the pump station and the piping. And then when the pumps come in, they just kind of slide down in
Okay,
and you plug them into the control panel and
yeah, the reason I'm asking is if we say start today, then we can start today and order the pump today. You won't have a need for the pump until,
down the road.
and how far is that? Is it 15 weeks? Is it 8 weeks? Is it 10 weeks? But the
Right.
pump is not needed the same day.
That is
you start
correct.
the
You're
pipe.
100%
That's-
correct. Right. So we can, you know, and again, we would rather, you know, again, we'd rather get in there and get it done and have it finished, and then the pumps will be here and we can, you know, we've got to but we need other things in motion. We need the standby generator is going to be a longer lead time. The control panel is going to basically mirror the pumps. We've got to get a drop electrical service in there for the station. That's going to take time. So-
And that's been getting worse as well too, time wise.
Probably, right, with getting service. So all these things, if we pull the trigger, then the clock can start, and that's what we need.
Longest lead time is pumps?
I would say that would be, we should be able to get the other stuff done in that window, but you know what Mark's telling me now about electrical, maybe not, I don't know.
No, I push too much, just ask the rest of them. But this meeting on the 22nd, where we might know if the county's funding is going to happen, I would like to make a motion at
Have a
some
special
point,
meeting or-
legislative meeting. I would like to make a motion if that funding comes through, that our chairman and she has the ability to authorize them to start construction on it.
And how much funding are we talking about?
They're writing in the full project at 1.3 million.
So they will give us the full project
That's
cost?
what they're writing in. Originally, they wanted to put 2 million in.
Don't
And I
put
explained,
2 million,
I
that's all right.
explained, I worked with Mark. I'm
Guys
like,
deserve it. Don't put 2 million.
Thank you.
we gave them the full budget compared to what Mark had updated up to that day,
But the-
which was a couple weeks ago.
Full budget included the extra 120?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
the 1.3 that's submitted into
It's
the
120,
EDA
the
application.
129 brings they're up to, I think, 1,039,000.
That would be our new.
Is that
for both projects. I think it's.
That's for both
Yes.
projects. We've already completed the first, so that was like 90,000 on the first. You can take
Yes.
back that out of there.
And
We're
Mark
already there.
added to it to make sure that we didn't have a number that wasn't adequate. And I
And I wanted to add to that too, Herb, that there's round numbers, about 1,000 feet of force main that still has to be purchased, correct?
That's correct.
that's because somebody screwed up in measuring it.
Oh.
Yeah,
You gotta let it go someday.
Yeah, the plans have 5,400 feet round numbers, but for some reason I think there's a bid.
Bid tab,
Well,
1,100 feet shut.
Yeah,
We're past that.
right, we're past that, but that's still gotta be ordered, and is there lead time on that?
I can, the additional pipe as of today is available. I can order it. I can have it. I know where it is. I can get my hands on it today.
Yeah.
Will it be there tomorrow? I can't tell you.
How much would that cost for today?
Um,
Approximate?
let me make sure I can read it.
45.
What do we figure it's worth? 58,000,
58,000.
about 58 grand.
I would rather authorize that to be purchased, Herb, than pumps.
I moved that we authorized the purchase of $58,000 worth of pipe, which will complete the project. And authorize them to purchase it so they get what they should, and we will pay for it until we get this grant. I make that motion right now.
And a question. Should we have a special meeting after the legislatures meet?
Do you want us to convene a special meeting after the
Yeah, because
22nd?
we're not,
And the
we're not
board,
gonna know what they're gonna say.
the board's not all here either.
Yeah.
Today, we have 3 members that, if it's all right with you, oh.
Hi.
I'm sorry, I had my back.
You're just so busy over there.
Well, you're on his band here. You gotta sit on this side.
So,
You see how this board runs? How quickly even, oh.
Smooth as silk. That's good.
So. Highlander is not happy, but okay, at least wait until the 22nd and leaving everything as is, as we've discussed at this point.
Sure. And I wouldn't use the phrase not happy. I would
No,
say
that's a bad word.
we're frustrated like you folks are.
Okay, yeah,
That's
all
the-
right, yeah.
So we all
Yeah,
want to see the
I'm
project.
okay with getting the pipe though, because we're gonna.
We can always sell it, right? You guys can unload pipe.
If
Yeah.
we certainly can, but to me, if you have to build it, I
They
would
make
buy
money
the
off of
pipe.
it.
I really seriously would do that.
Herb, you can run it around your farm, no problem.
These
The pipe,
So
we
ones
have to
these
get rid
ones
of
were
it.
You could probably sell it from your
They
front
would
lawn.
get paid for on-site
Exactly.
storage materials.
So we.
Just like we did the first 4,000. Yes.
Well, I'll hold on that, but as far as authorizing alcohol, I agree.
These
I-
guys.
we'll have a
Yeah,
special
yeah, you're right.
meeting and decide what to do then.
Because we
I
need
think
to know how
that's
to
what
finance
Herb means,
it.
which is.
Right.
not different. Yeah.
We will decide.
And I don't wanna waste these gentlemen's time telling them,
Yeah.
stringing them along.
Yeah.
I know, but that's for us to figure out as
Okay,
far as
but
financing,
right now, we're agreeing to buy the pipe and the pumps.
just the pipe.
No, I do the pump.
He wants. to
How
do
much
that.
are the
How much
pumps?
are the pumps?
140.
It's a big number. Take the pumps, which the whole package. So it's,
That's the whole pump.
to me, if you're talking a week or 10 days,
That way.
I'd wait the week and 10 days on the pumps. That's just me, you
I
know,
would wait.
because it's a bigger number.
With me, I would wait.
Okay.
Just a
We'll vote on
suggestion.
buying the pipe.
Okay, hold on. There's no second yet to your motion.
Yeah, he
We
said.
did? Okay, sorry. So,
What are you, the chairman now?
Yeah,
Well, take control of him, would you?
Yeah,
clarify the motion with our.
Do your questions.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think the motion ought to come through to authorize Highlander to purchase the pipe.
I,
And
that's
then-
what I thought I made the
Per
motion
the
and
per the
then.
bid
Per
document.
per the
We
bid
would pay
documents, and
for
then,
it if
then they would invoice the, you guys for on-site sort of materials, just like we did the first 4,000 feet.
Is that all right?
That's fine.
Okay, that's what the
I just want to
motion
make sure the
is.
motion's clear how it's phrased, so.
Second.
You wanna read the motion?
So,
Somebody?
I move that we authorize Highlander to purchase the pipe, the additional pipe that they need to complete the job. And that if it gets billed to them before we get this straightened out, we will pay for the pipe.
Yes, upon appropriate invoicing.
Yeah.
Of course.
So,
Yep.
going through our-
Is that all right with
our- our
everybody?
forwards.
Yep.
you want me to read it in?
Are you done talking?
know, these
You said you had a
lawyers-
bad voice. What happened?
Yeah,
I
we
wouldn't
got our hopes up and now he's still talking.
Yeah.
Wait, did you COVID test? He said he's got a back problem.
Okay, everybody's got the motion. We wanna call a roll call, please?
You want a roll call for that?
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Lockwood, Mr. Marshall,
Yes.
Mr. Latinisham,
Yes.
Mr. Shea, Ms. Pino,
Yes.
Mr. Reinfeldt,
Yes.
Mr. Ledner.
Yes. Okay, guys, can they be excused, or?
I hope we've not wasted your time.
Yeah, of course not.
Absolutely not.
I think we're making progress.
No, I think we are. And again, we're here to help. We're here to answer questions. You know, our door's open too. So
I
if you guys have
appreciate
questions,
you taking time this afternoon to come and
Well,
I
we appreciate the opportunity to be here. Thank you.
And your last name again?
Olin, O-L-I-N.
Okay, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you, Joe.
So, thank you very much.
Patience.
Yes, thank you.
Your first name again is?
Brad, B-R-A-D.
Brad,
Yep.
and then your first and last name?
Bill Langdon, Langdon.
You're all set with me too as well?
And then,
I'm gonna reach out to you.
Yeah, please do. Yeah.
But I wanna-
Second is when they meet, we'll decide when to meet before we leave.
Perfect.
Yeah. For the special meeting. But the 22nd is the board meeting, so it's not our base.
Just call sometime.
Yes.
So no-
Yes. Okay. Good point. Okay. Yes. Okay.
Thank
Sounds
you,
good.
thank you, sir.
I'll be
Thanks,
up
Mark.
for it.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thank you much for everything.
No problem. Thank you.
Safe right back.
Yeah, thanks.
everything we do, there's 8 hoops, and you gotta jump through them in sequence, and then they keep moving them. You can never get, it's just, and you know, like, you have business, you just decide and do.
That's why we try to keep the project moving and.
I know.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Yes.
Relax.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night. You going too?
No. Well, she's still there. I got another thing. And
Where's she going?
I thought she had to leave to go to.
No, she was late
Oh,
coming in.
okay, I can do this anytime.
Well, she's gonna be on TV probably a little bit later.
No.
Really? Yeah, big press conference this morning. Whoa, whoa. What happened?
We sold the Bonton box and the Sears box connected to the Ithaca Mall,
Oh.
and Hugo Medical purchased it.
Oh.
So we're turning the mall into a combination of retail,
Everybody's doing it.
medical.
Gee, that's great.
Yeah.
Doctors will check.
See all the upstairs stuff over for.
Yeah.
Good repurpose of a property. That's great.
Yeah.
She go ahead with your meeting and I'll get my stuff in there.
Let's do the same thing with others.
Okay, guys, where are we?
Bills, communication.
That's good, that's very good. Okay, you're in charge. Bill,
So for this month, we had NICEAG for $269.50, that was paid online. We have CNS companies for $5,989.80. Then we have Buffington and Hoatland for $4,000 even. And then we have pilot disbursements that need to go out, so Weeds for School District will receive $4,688.92. Union Springs School District will receive $49,912.19. The town of Orillia will receive $4,113.92. And Hugh County Treasurer will receive $32,279.46. And we have one outstanding pilot payment. Well, two from one business.
what is it?
In Aurora.
In Aurora? How much? About?
Oh, 13,000. I spoke to them last week. She said that it's going in the mail.
It's going
I
in the
should receive it.
mail, okay. Motion to accept those.
So I'll move.
Okay,
Oh, I'm sorry.
all in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Net?
One more thing. We're gonna need a different motion for this one. Your checking account balance is low. I need to make a transfer. I do not want to make a transfer asking how much you want it to be transferred. Because the bill, I spoke to Paul earlier, he will come in tomorrow to pay, to sign the checks. But I need to know how much to transfer so I can write the checks.
So how much checks will you be writing?
Pilots are already taken care of, those go by themselves, so I'm looking at 6, that's about 6,000. About 6,000,
And how much do you
no,
usually,
about 10,000.
how much do you usually keep in there for a buffer?
About 10,000. We're about at 6 right now, we're about 6,000 in there.
The reality is the rates are so low.
It doesn't matter.
That doesn't matter when you
Yeah.
keep it in
Yeah,
check, your
so-
savings, we're not losing any.
Yeah, do
We don't receive a.
you want
interest on
10 or
checking.
15?
No, you guys just
Move 12.
Yeah.
12?
Yep.
Okay, now my next question is because you guys just made a motion to Highlander. You're gonna do a transfer to cover the bill that Highlander sends for the.
Yeah, but that's.
That'll be at the next,
That'll be next meeting, it'll be okay.
So you wanna make another transfer next month?
Yeah,
Nobody
that's
pays in
fine,
less
yeah.
than 30 days. in
Okay.
advance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll move 12,000. Okay.
We need a motion for that.
I'll move that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Clerk treasurer, that's me. Oh, profit and loss for the month of February. Fees for services, which was $322.72. That came from a late payment of a pilot. Abundant Solar was late on their pilot payment, that is the 5% fee that was passed on to their pilot payment. Gas lease revenue was $45.53. Interest on the savings and CD was $59.37. Your total income for the month was $427.62. The expenses for the month, you had CNS Companies, your construction management engineer, for $748.80. The electrical bill was $284.33. So the total for the industrial park that was paid out was $1,033.13. So your net income was negative $605.51. Then there's just a breakdown of the account. So you'll see the transfer will come from the generation savings, which has the $254,461.73.
Okay,
Move to accept.
second. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
So we're gonna finish now?
We did that. Do
We did
you
that
have a
first.
CETA staff update?
Yeah, just really brief, Ms. Foster and myself attended the New York State EDC conference in the beginning of April. Governor Hochul was the keynote speaker and she announced, she will be dedicating $200 million in grant funding for IDAs to help build shovel-ready sites. So as we are looking to identify more property, we can apply for this grant funding in 2023 to help with development of those sites, which is really exciting. I attended a brainstorming session, a regional brainstorming session with Steve Lynch to advocate for Cuba County. The governor will be releasing a $10 million rural DRI competition, which is similar to the DRI that has been put in place in prior years. The city of Auburn received a couple of years ago. This would help villages and more rural municipalities to apply for a very similar fund for $10 million. So Steve Lynch and I attended, discussed what the needs were for Cuba County and our proposal of how we administer those funds, which was really great. Just a quick update for the CEO search, seeing that Ray's not here. The search committee concluded their first round of interviews. They have identified 2 candidates as of right now. They will be moving forward to conduct the second round of interviews that will be in person in the upcoming weeks. There has been discussion of possibly hiring a search firm or reopening the search. But as of right now, they are moving forward to do second round interviews with the 2 people that they have.
How long has the position been vacant?
September 10th,
Yes.
September 10th.
But we've got like 65 open positions. You can't hire anybody.
Yeah.
Herb, throw your hat in.
Yeah, you could run the place.
You really
Are you
could.
ready now that you got the ball all taken care of down there?
You're fun. I'll partner with you on it.
Okay,
That's it.
anything else we need to know about that?
No, I think that's it for tonight.
Okay, new business?
So we're just down to the parish reporting.
We already did the audits,
And
parish reporting and all, nothing there, right? We
just the
did.
parish reporting, I have to give the update on that.
Okay,
So we started the parish reporting and reporting that happens yearly with all of the projects that you guys.
and we
have.
all have that in front of us.
Mhm. So you'll see that the governance information has been completed. Board of directors list, nothing has changed for 2021. 2022, you will see, Ben Vitale will come off and Bob Shea will take his seat. So that'll be a change for next year.
It changed for this year.
Has that happened yet?
For,
Yes, Bob Shea attended last month.
Yeah.
he's been appointed.
Yes.
Technically, he's on the board, he's not here.
And
Oh,
Herb
no,
and
you
Gina
said-
were reappointed
You
this
said
past month.
next year. but you-
When I file it next year.
Yeah, okay.
For this year, I'll change next year when I file it. Mhm. Staff listing, just that Tracy was on there for staff listing, we all technically part-time employee staff. Myself and Danielle are listed on there. It just gives the board of directors, list. And you guys don't receive any benefits on the CCIDA board.
Sitting with her is enough for me.
Then we have a summary financial information report. This comes from the audit that we just approved. So now I can take those numbers and I can put it in the financial statement report. So they'll be updated. And then we have, you don't have any current debt.
Do they follow this up with a report and compare all the counties afterwards?
I'm not sure.
Because with all the information in there, it just seems, it would be interesting to see how we stack up with.
I feel like we could probably find it.
That's true.
Yeah, we can look into it.
I think they can, because wasn't there a newspaper article last year, the year before, describing the benefits giving to firms and then the jobs created or not created? And I think we were pretty good in that article.
It was something I remember
Yeah.
at some point, yeah.
Are we having a difficult time getting information from companies?
Yes.
Yeah.
We are. We don't have any real property acquisition or disposal. The projects, we have, this is a list, you guys have 14 projects. You have a new one that is now added, and they're not being responsive.
Which is,
Navitas, they just went through and had an extension, but they're not responsive for their annual reporting. It's a solar project. So they
okay,
received an extension.
Which solar project?
It's Navitas.
Abundant.
No.
No, it's not
that's a
Abundant?
different one.
It's 12 corners.
That's 12 point. This is GSPP 4643, I think. Yeah, not responsive. This is their first year for reporting. And I sent emails, I sent letters, I'm not getting anywhere.
And where is that project?
Justin, do you know where that project is right off the top of your head?
I think he's waiting for me to text him. So he wouldn't- oh, here he is.
There he is.
Hi, Justin.
That started as the Sundog East project, sponsored by Omni Navitas, and it was bought by Green Street Power Partners, GSPP. They haven't built the project yet, so they haven't taken down any sales tax exemption. And the pilot agreement hasn't gone into effect yet, so they don't have any benefits per se to report, but they do have the obligation to respond to you. Are you using an Omni Navitas address, or are you using the new Green Street Power Partners address under the assignment agreement?
I went to the GSPP address.
Okay, they should be responding. If you're still having difficulties, if you want to forward me the information, I can be the bad cop if you'd like me to be.
I can give that to you tomorrow. I'll send it.
Okay.
Because
Happy to do
this has to be in the system by April 1st.
Yeah, you got a little bit of time. Even if they send you a blank report, they do have the obligation to
Yeah.
provide it to you.
Let's see, then we Abundant, I just received, they're not on your report, I do have them. Cuban milk, I do have, these all have come in within the past couple days, they're starting to trickle in, so that's why they're blank on your reports, I do have them. It looks like I need ends of Aurora. Longer pilot payment. And that's pretty much it. Everyone else has turned it in. Then we have a measurements report that myself and Danielle put together, which is just an overview of the projects. The goals that you guys adopted March 21st of 2018, you guys have still tried to hold up to them. The first goal is to assist at least 2 projects each year via tax exemption benefits. It looks like we had Spruce Havens and the Omni-Nami House for the 2 that closed for this year. Goal number 2 was to focus on government relations, inviting officials to attend meetings at least 4 times a year. We did not have anyone attend this past year due to COVID. Goal 3 was to ensure each board member undergoes ABO trainings. You guys have completed them, you have to do them at least every 4 years. So everyone is current on that. Goal number 4, implement a more proactive nominating procedure with discussion around board members and officer positions beginning in October and the nominating committee meeting in November. We did complete them in November, resulting in the nominations for Herb and Gina to keep their seat. Ben lost his seat on the legislature, so that's how Bob is on the committee now. And goal number 5 is to improve consistency on activities reporting from contracted staff. Says the staff upload a monthly activity reports, the board section of the website for easy access for board members. Goal number 6 is continue to find the current obligations and responsibilities associated with ongoing projects and programs, as well as applicable provisions of the Act. We comply with all standards in New York State. Let's see, the next one is an annual operations and accomplishments report. That is I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages of that. So pretty much this is just an updated form that we submit with the annual reporting. It's an overview of operations and accomplishments for CCIDA. Gives a breakdown of the projects that we approved for the year. It gives a breakdown of the revenues and expenses, assets and liabilities that CCIDA holds that we conducted an audit for the end of the year. And now we put it on the website under the documents page. So now we've approved it. When we get the completed version, I will upload it to the website for everyone to use. Then we have the CCIDA Corporation Compensation. That is a contract between CEDA and CCIDA. You guys are contracted for $20,000. And then you have a 20% fee share. And that tells you how much we paid last year. So the fee share itself was $11,636.40. That's 20% of your revenue for the year. Projects undertaken by CCIDA. Let's see. We're just pretty much continuing sewer project. That's our major project that we listed. We participate in New York State Economic Development Council, ongoing seminars and conferences that we attend throughout the year. There's a breakdown of the property owned for 2021. So all the land we still own. They all are from an independent appraisal, so they have not changed. And then we have assessment of effectiveness for internal control. So that's just what me and Danielle do on a day-to-day basis. The investment report. And that just gives us a breakdown of your account balances. And you have the restricted funds that Elaine stated is 10,000 and 23 cents that is a grant that we were passed through to that. So that is also listed. It says it's tied to Clarity Connect project, which was granted by local municipalities and will be dispersed to Clarity Connect upon receipt of submitted request with appropriate documentation and expenditure. So that answers the question.
Okay. Good job. That was good. Oh. Herb, anything?
Do we bought any property yet?
Have we not, no, we have not bought any new property yet. I did send another email today to Rick and Ray. I had reached out to the realtor that is working with Richard Waits for the 44 acres that is behind the Bluefield area. I also reached out to the realtor for 8310 Grant Road, and that is the old rolling wheels. That's 88 acres. So I'm hoping to hear back from them. And then there was another property, I'm sorry, that was,
Can I just stop you for a second?
Mhm.
Should that be in?
oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah, we should be.
we should be an executive for land
Yeah.
acquisition.
So motion to move to executive session. Second,
For the purchase and sale, potential purchase and sale of real
Yeah.
property contract. negotiations.
Sorry about that.
That's
All
right.
in favor?
Justin, you gonna stay on? for
Yeah,
a
yeah,
little
Justin,
while?
yeah, yeah.
Justin's here for
Right.
this.
Justin, can I just ask you a real quick question? We're in executive, right?
No, not
No,
yet,
no,
not
we
yet.
gotta wait for Janine.
You need a motion and a second and then move to go into executive.
Yeah. We're,
I can't see that. Oh, she's gone, okay,
so just.
hold on.
We're still live.